Hello, hello, everybody. I'm going live soon with Adrienne Glasser. I'm waiting for some people to come on, waiting for her to come on. But now that these lives can go to Instagram TV, I realize that our intros have to be a little bit better than just sitting there and waiting for the person to come on. So we'll wait for Adrienne. Adrienne's here. Yay! Okay, I'm going to bring you on, Adrienne. And we'll wait for her to come on. And here she is.
Hi.
Hey, it's so nice to see
Hey.
you.
You
I
too.
love your hair.
Thank you. I'm all
That's,
colorful. I keep saying that my hair is like a mood ring these days, reflecting just how quickly my mood changes.
oh my gosh. That
It's
is
really
so,
easy because with these leave-in conditioners, you can just do whatever you want and it comes out in a couple days. So it's great.
oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know that was a thing. And like, to be honest, that's the hair thing is like a COVID concern, right? Like, what am I doing with my hair? So when did you
Yep.
do the pink? When did you do that? Did you just leave-in conditioner?
Yeah. So I don't know if you can tell, but like I first went rose gold and like that's kind of pink. This is like purple. Like I'm in a purple zone now. But yeah, this is totally a COVID thing. My husband and I are both doing crazy hair stuff because we can't do what we normally do. So we're like, F it. We're just gonna do crazy stuff. So he's normally a salt and pepper, and now he's like blonde. And
What?
yeah, and like we're just having fun with it because am I gonna get my roots done? No. So might as
It's
well
such a
play.
great idea. I love that. No, what a perfect time. Now, when you're on calls, because you work with people, and so you're seeing them on Zoom or something. So then you have,
Yeah.
the hair is still a concern. It's sort of like, oh, do it because who's going to see you? But you are on calls, but it's fun. I think it's great.
It's super fun. And it's
I
one of
love
the
that.
things that's working. Like that's one of my things that's working for me is changing my hair color every 2 seconds. It's at like I'm entertained. I hope it provides some joy to some. My daughter loves it, you know?
I know exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So my friend who is a barber, she just joined, Lori's here, and
Hi, Lori.
she needs to help me because we just got the clippers. They came from Amazon. So we're going to do my husband's hair. But I think we should do something fun, Lori, and then do it like, sort of traditional. But anyways, okay, so let's dive in. I want for the people who are here, thank you everybody for joining. So this
Thanks for
is
having
a
me.
yes, and thank you, Adrienne, so much for joining
Yeah.
me. This is a series called What's Working, What's Not, and it's an opportunity for us to reflect on, Lori said, let's go for it, for us to reflect on where we are in this shelter in place experience, and what is working for us, what are the things that we're finding that are helping us in our physical and mental wellness, and what's not. Because initially, I think a lot of us were sort of like, this is kind of like a snow day, it's vacation. We're going to sort of be just, we're on vacation, okay? But then as we realize this is going on, so we really need to find sustainable strategies to keep us healthy and happy in these new circumstances. And it's constantly evolving. And with these conversations that I've had with my friends and colleagues about what's working for them, where I'm seeing the ways that we're seeing the ways that people are really getting resourceful and smart and creative, speaking to your point exactly. And then we can take those ideas and try them on for ourselves. So I'm so happy to have Adrienne Glasser here today. And Adrienne, so tell us, I want to know where you are, what your shelter in place situation is, and what's going on with your work. So where are you? Tell us where you are.
Well, right now I'm on the floor of my bedroom because this has become my new studio.
Right.
This is the studio in which studio slash office space. So I have my Zoom sessions here as a psychotherapist, coach, healer, dance
Mm.
instructor, somatic therapist, all the stuff that I do. I run groups and I see people individually from this space on Zoom.
How
So if I go this way, you can see California, my porch, and my bed is like in back of where you are. So yeah, it's like become this corner where I can, you know, not only see people and dance for my dance classes that I run, but also just be on Zoom and work. Like this is my working space.
I love,
Because
I,
normally I'm downstairs and my daughter's downstairs running around and there's no door to my office because
yes,
normally she's in school.
right,
So,
right.
right. So I don't have that space. That space is completely taken over by a toddler. So no more office space for me. And hi, Nancy. I saw you. Just want to say hi really quickly. But yeah, that's where I am.
Well, I
That's
think it's funny because identifying actually where you are in your house is a very interesting answer to that question, because I'm actually asking like where you are in the United States, which you are in Los Angeles, which I wanted everybody to know. But
I'm in Echo
because that's,
Park.
yeah, because that's a hot spot. Obviously, in LA has extended their, or has spoken of extending their shelter in place for 3 months longer than, you know, expected. Um, but it's very interesting for you to know where you are in your house, because I think a lot of us, right, are sort of like, where do we go? You know, this,
Yeah.
I'm in a space right now that doesn't have a door as well. So it's like, my husband, you need to go upstairs to the bedroom while I do this live. And my child, and I am very lucky, and I will put this out there, I do have childcare, so I am lucky. Like a lot of people don't, but it's like the kids have to go outside. You know, the toddler and the baby have to leave. You know, so it's,
Yeah.
we're
The
managing.
negotiation of
Yes, we're
space is
managing
very real.
space. Yes, 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 yes. So I love that. So, and you're with your husband and your daughter. So you have a toddler, right?
Yes. So
In your
she's turning
scenario.
4. I'm not sure that that's a toddler
I
anymore.
know.
She
Are they
feels like
toddlers
she's,
anymore?
I don't know, now she's going to be a 4-nager
Yes.
because I mean, I mean, she's really mature for her age and spunky and all the things that I feel more intensely being a lockdown situation.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, yeah, a lot of juggling. Like we're all doing the juggle of like, you know, whether we're creators or healers or movers, like we're just doing that juggle. And how we do it is, yeah, it's really important of like how we negotiate all that.
Yeah. And is it sustainable, do you feel, to be in the bedroom? You know, it's like, for how long? Like, how long is that? But it's fine for you now, and it has to be
Yeah,
sustainable
I
now.
gotta tell you, it's actually like the thing that's been working for me, the silver lining in all this, is that I've had to get really focused on my work and my business as
Mm-hmm.
a creative healer.
Mm,
And I was looking for partnerships here in LA, yoga studios, people to collaborate with. And I didn't realize that what I was doing is that parts of me were looking for like the partner, the ideal partner, that once I find the ideal partner, then I will be complete.
I
And
love
I
that.
had no idea that I was doing this until the pandemic hit. And it was like, oh, all that stuff you were doing, there are no classes to go to.
Mm,
So you just have to do the thing, which is like, you know, I wanted to do some online groups for a long time. And it's like, nope, now you only have one track to focus on.
yes.
And it's
Yes.
helped. And now I feel like I can be useful to the communities that I'm creating online. Doing a movement class, doing a class that I run about, you know, getting curious about different parts of ourself and then
Mm,
practicing in real time compassion towards them through
mm.
art, through movement, through writing, and just being able to help people during this time in that way and bring communities of people together, like-minded people together, has been a gift. Like that's been a gift. And also I have a reason to like at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, my time, even though in New York it's like 1 o'clock or noon, I have a reason to like get showered, get dressed, because there's accountability. I want to
Yes.
say something about having accountability partners
Yes.
it's so essential. Otherwise, I would, you know, there are many days where I don't have that and I'm like stuck in bed, which, you know,
Mm,
I'm sure we'll get to with what's not
not
working.
working. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So what were the like emotionally, how, when all of this shifted, I hear some of this, like you were sort of anxious about, oh no, I can't, you know, I don't know if that was a big anxiety for you, but oh no, I can't partner with these people anymore, or like my business is not going to work or whatever. But what came up for you with this pandemic, the emotions that came up, you know, and that you've been experiencing maybe in the beginning, and what are you experiencing now? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
emotionally,
I
how
mean
did
the first concern was was Riley, was my child, was
Mm-hmm.
her. Like that was my primary of like, okay, she's not going to be in school. What does that mean for her? What does it mean
Right.
for her that she's not going to see other kids? Like, and that's still an ongoing concern.
Yep.
Um, I
Yes.
think, well, I know that the beginning of the pandemic was super, super hard for me because I have parts that are helper parts that feel the energy of other people
Mm-hmm.
because I'm an intuitive.
Yes.
And because that happens, I actually feel communal energy also. And so because that's the way that I operate, I there was just a lot of me feeling complete, I mean, for most of us, for lots of different reasons, feeling very overwhelmed.
Yes.
And so I would go from parts of me, which I talk about parts all the time because that's
Yes.
my practice, it's my spiritual practice,
I
it's
love that.
how I help other people to
Yep.
differentiate different parts of themselves from their authentic self. But I had overwhelmed parts that would just feel it all, and it was just completely overwhelming.
Mm.
And then parts that would just shut it down. So my shut it down ones were like, we're going to sleep until this is over. Peace. Like, just, exhausted in
Right.
bed, all
Right.
like all of that. And a lot of the beginning was me witnessing me going back and forth from those parts, like just making the rounds of like, okay, we're overwhelmed, we're freaking out, we're anxious, and then whoop, okay, we're in bed.
Yes.
Okay, we're eating more than we want to be. Here's
Right.
another part that like wants to make cookies and brownies all day, and and just noticing going from one to the other and one to the other. But I know from my practice, just even witnessing that with compassion and just being
Yes.
like, the thing that works for me the most is being gentle.
Mm.
So that no matter what I'm witnessing, banking on the fact that it's happening for a good reason. And that's for everybody. Like we're all surviving a pandemic. Like let's be gentle on ourselves,
Yes.
like we're doing the best we can,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I'd have other parts being like, I need to be productive during this time and I
Yes.
need to work out and get in shape and blah, blah, all the chatter. And that's all the stuff that like it has good intention to like kick my butt into gear.
Yep.
But that never gets me to do anything really.
Mm.
Not from like a place of joy or
Right.
pleasure.
Interesting. So joy
So
and
yeah.
pleasure. So what were the things that you realized? So I always ask in the beginning or even now, have you had that time of reflection of saying you talked about these parts that were in overwhelm and then in the shutdown and all. So did you find that there were things that you were doing that physical things that you were doing that wasn't working for you, or it was more of a mental thing that wasn't working? If you can talk about like what you've seen that wasn't working and that you wanted to shift or that you did shift.
Yeah, there was a lot of mental energy thinking about, also checking the news way too
Oh
much.
yeah.
Like that, I mean, that would really
Yes.
like put me out. Like at the
Yeah.
beginning, it
Yeah.
would like just completely overwhelm and, put
Mm.
me in bed. And so I had to reduce my news consumption considerably. And there's been a process of like going outside of the home with, masked and in the car, and that being an overwhelming experience, actually.
Mm.
And being able to, well, it's almost been like exposure therapy with my outside of my home parts of like, okay, this is this new world. Who knows how long it's going to be for? But like, it's almost like an exposure therapy of like, how can we be
Uh,
out in the world and have that feel okay?
Interesting. Uh-huh.
And for me, for my daughter, all of that, like how can we, and it's yeah, just trusting my own boundaries around what feels safe and what doesn't, and where, and finding little pockets in the park that nobody's going to here in LA. Like, going to it, there's an abandoned parking lot that we found that like we don't have to wear masks and Riley
Yes.
can go back and forth, and I'm like, miracle has happened, we found an abandoned parking lot. Like what world are we in? But it's been great. It's been like that, just finding the ways that I can feel like reassured and getting used to this new normal, however long it is.
It's interesting, the like the abandoned parking, like the little miracles, like you said, like, you know, when everything's removed and then you find and you feel gratitude for, you know, natural gratitude for, like, it is like this, oh my God, you know, everything's like so much better. I found an abandoned parking lot. Like, that's amazing. You know, I think that that's beautiful. And it does. And if we can, the more we can get into that, right. And is better. Now, what are the things that you are like consciously doing in your maybe physical practice, or because you mentioned in the beginning of the call that you are a carer, you take on people's energy. You now have your daughter home, and I have a 4-year-old as well. She turned 4 on Friday, who is very demanding for energy. Husbands, of course, also need our energy, even though they can get a little neglected after the kid, you know. And then your profession, you're helping
Right.
so many people. And then you said you feel the energy around you, and you're in LA. And again, it's not like you're in Oklahoma where it's not a huge thing. So with all of that, how are you giving to yourself, and what are you doing for your own personal wellness to really keep you alive and thriving as much as you can, or maybe
Yeah.
thriving a lot?
Yeah. And I mean, I can't say it enough, but being gentle when I need to rest, not giving myself too hard of a time when I need to restore in that way has been a really
Mm,
big deal for me. Like I'm a, you know, recovering workaholic and doaholic and all of those. And you know, my parts really, I've had a shift where, having difficulty with my thyroid and other things that have happened,
mm,
my whole operating system is completely different, where like I need to sleep sometimes
mm.
for like long periods of time. So just being understanding and gentle about that has really been a self-care essential. And then the other ones, I would say, like, I've always had parts of me that love to explore. And in a pandemic, like, it's very hard to like run around and go to dance class or like try
Yep.
to go to a museum or like, so it's turned into this, like, I've always had these parts, like class explorers, like
Yes.
on like the Zoom class
Online. Yeah.
explorers,
Yes.
which can now turn into like Zoom FOMO, where I'm like, you know,
Yes.
so, but it's, when it works,
Oh
it
boy.
works,
Yeah.
you know, like I go from, I really have felt nourished by having new mentors in COVID.
Yep.
Like, I actually reached out to a mentor who I admired for, you know, a person who I've admired for a long time in the dance world. And I was like, hey, you know, I would love to have mentorship in a somatic practice. And so I have a group that I move with and do a somatic practice with on Mondays. And then I facilitate a group on Fridays. So I've actually
Wow.
never, I don't think I've ever had this much self care scheduled.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a very long time, probably before I had Riley.
Yes.
But I'm only able to do that because I've reduced my work hours. And I've only been able to do that because Win is working more. My husband is working more.
Right.
So, you know, everything has like a push and pull to it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know?
Um,
Yeah.
I it's so interesting. That's been a theme for me as well. I've had some new, and it's like Zoom classes, and I've had some new teachers. And for me, it's the physical stuff. And I do want to talk about the somatic stuff in a minute, but um, and having that new life, which is, and the new life that is associated with self-care, and really committing to that schedule, which has given me my mental health actually, and my physical health, and my business health. Like, I can actually do my work because I have energy, newfound energy. So you know, do you have and you said you have a somatic practice, or you have somatic guidance from this mentor, and then you're running a somatic practice. And for those of you who don't know what somatic means, it's body, mind, work. So, right, is that how you would describe it? I mean, that's how I, you know,
Yeah.
conscious
Yeah. It's
body.
a, yeah, conscious body work, like awareness of sensation in the body while you're in relation to your own movement or other people's movement, but there's an awareness it's an awareness practice.
So, Adrienne, I do want to talk a little bit about that awareness. So you sent out a newsletter in which you were talking about the somatic practice, and how when we when we are aware of our bodies, when we are in our bodies, we actually can find a natural calm and I'm sort of paraphrasing, but a natural, we can come back to a sense of everything is okay and everything's gonna be okay. So our bodies actually can give us that home base, like you're okay, you're at home. And one of the things that I said to my my Pilates class the other day was, okay, this is your time to be in and with your body, because this is actually the only part of you that is you. Everything outside of you is not you. And this is our home. And yet we're in this weird zone where energy, we're wearing the masks and our body energy is coming in. We're afraid. We're afraid in our bodies. Oh my God, I just touched something and then I touched my face. And now there's an anxiety in our bodies. We're afraid of being out and flowing and going. And so our bodies are feeling it. And now is the time, especially because our bodies are what's going to take care of coronavirus. Our bodies are the things that are going to take care of anything that enters our system, right? Immune system, all of that, right? So our bodies are important, and they're important to help us, as you noted in your somatic practices, to help us actually feel safe. Not just stay safe, feel safe, right? So
Yeah.
I want you to talk a little bit about that in our last couple
Yeah.
minutes.
Absolutely. So, cultivating an awareness of your body sensation is a way of cultivating a witness. So it's one thing to notice sensation and then have another part that makes up a story about the sensation. So like I'm feeling pain, and then there's another part of you that's like, well, this pain means this and this pain means that, and maybe I should, go take some medicine, blah, blah, blah. Like, or you just notice the sensation and ask that part for space.
Right. Oh, interesting.
And to just be with the sensation itself.
Yes.
And then you notice another sensation, which is maybe where it begins and where it ends. And if you notice where it ends, then the sensation isn't solid. It's not your one experience that's happening in that moment. And sometimes the breath can be a way of creating the space between anxious parts about body sensation, just so that you can witness it, just so you can witness it without, with space from story.
Yeah.
And cultivating that witness is a way of creating the safety where you're noticing and there's calm. So like, okay, my shoulder hurts and that's what's happening. And now what's happening next? It's like, it's not like my shoulder hurt, like you don't fall. Yeah. There isn't that getting trapped or getting hooked, as Pema Chodron would say. Like you get hooked with that thought. And by just cultivating a witness of like, this is what's happening right now, even if it's like, okay, my frustration is what's happening right now. Let me notice my frustration. Let me notice I have an impatient part that's like sick of the pandemic, or, just noticing the sensation. And to me, that's what brings safety, because the sensation isn't alone. The sensation isn't alone. The thought isn't alone. The memory isn't alone. There's something that's witnessing and soothing whatever's happening in and around the body. And that's what's creating a sense of, okay, there's a feeling that's activating, but there's also a deactivation at the same time. And that regulates our nervous system, so that even though there's stress, we can actually feel okay at the same time. And it's a, long practice.
Wow. I would love to be a part of your group. I need this. I love this.
I think we all do. I listen, the reason why I am, slightly obsessed with this parts stuff is because it's the only thing that keeps me feeling like a little bit above water when I have really intense experiences. I'm like, okay, this is a part. It's okay. This is what's happening. At least I can just observe it, even if it feels nuts.
Right.
So, and that, and also doing that towards what's happening culturally, of like, this is what's happening, and like almost taking a bird's eye view of like, oh, wow, this is what's happening. Like, that's the other side of taking on all the energy, is like actually pulling the camera back and being like, okay, let's look. Like, we're going to be the people that wash our groceries for a really long time, and people are going to think we're nuts. And like just being able to smile at like, you know, we're gonna get through this. Like there's gonna be a time where this is not gonna be for forever. Like just being able to pull it
Mm,
out a little bit
mm,
and know that we're gonna be okay. And then go back into the part that doesn't believe that, you know?
yeah, I know. Right?
So,
Yeah.
but it's the witness, it's the witnessing, it's
Goodness.
cultivating the witness.
Well, I think it's also applicable because I think for a lot of us who have kids, that it's applicable to the child too. So when the child does X or the child does this, which creates the sensation in your body, to witness instead of try to fix or add a story like, oh my God, you know, my child is biting my newborn, you know, my 4-month-old. And instead
Mm-hmm.
of me going witnessing that, it's like, she's going to injure him. I've created, you know, a monster, like sibling rivalry. She's going to hate him and push him down the stairs. You know, I go into this whole story, right? And I have no control over my child, and I have
Get
no,
it.
you know, and so it's the same. I love that witness, that you practice it in the body and then you can practice it in your life, and you can do it even with the pandemic. So I love all of that. I think it's so beautiful. And Adrienne, I'm so grateful that you were here today. We should continue our
Thanks for
conversation.
having me.
We should do a little
Yeah,
movement. Like I said, I would love to do a movement thing with you. And it's so
be
good to
great.
see you
You
and hear from you.
too.
You're such a wise woman. And
You too.
folks can find your work through your Instagram. I'm sure they can find you and find your website through is it on your Instagram as
Yeah,
well? Yeah.
it's through
Okay.
my Instagram for
Okay.
sure. And
I
yeah, and I
love,
have my Dharma dance every Friday, and it's been super fun.
I love it. A Dharma dance. I want to do that.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it.
Yes.
What time is it? What time is your Dharma dance on
So
Friday?
thanks for, oh, it's at, sorry, you just cut out for a second. It's at 4 o'clock Pacific and 7 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, cool. Wonderful. So it's so great to
Yeah.
see you. Thank you so
You
much.
too.
And I'll see you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.